So in this segment, we're going to be talking about, again, Tobias Ellwood pushing for the UK to kind of rejoin the single market. We know why that can't happen. I've spoken about it previously. Despite the claims of other people on this platform, that's not going to happen. But, Tobias Ellwood, not really a senior Tory MP, but definitely a guy who has some standing in the party, pushing for the UK to rejoin the single market, which is interesting.
Earlier this summer, you got into a lot of trouble with your party for suggesting that one way to get around our economic issues would be to rejoin the European single market. You were put into purdah for several months as a result of that. Has that idea now come? I mean, is this now something that we should be contemplating?
Well, you touch on a very, very toxic issue within the Conservative Party, and I think what we need to do is recognise what is in Britain's best. What is clear is that the economic model that we currently have for Brexit isn't working as efficiently as it should. I offered the suggestion that we reconsider. I went down to the engine room. I looked at how successful that model is, and it isn't working correctly. There's no argument to return to the EU, but there are different models of Brexit that we now need to pursue. But I'm afraid because of Boris Johnson, nobody was willing to touch that. But we're now seeing a refreshing greater relationship with the EU. We saw that with the Northern Ireland Protocol, with the discussions that are taking place there. So who knows? I hope that could possibly lead to us actually developing an economic partnership with the EU that would allow 4% GDP. That's the cost of our Brexit at the moment.
Well, he's finally said it. The cost of Brexit around 4% of GDP, which, he's doing a lot more than what Starmer's doing. Let's be honest here. Starmer's not talking about Brexit in these kind of negative terms for whatever reason you want to believe that for. Tobias Ellwood has mentioned that there are different forms of Brexit that we could take. I would love to speak to the guy in terms of what would he want. Would he want kind of an equivalency deal? Would he want an alignment deal, for example, because that's on the table when it comes to agri-foods? What kind of model would he be advocating for? In terms of reality, what could we do? Would he want a Norwegian model, kind of a Swiss model? I know those are difficult because of the way the EU set up in terms of EFTA and all of those things. But what does he want the UK's relationship with the EU to be? That's what I kind of interesting with this guy.
Allow 4% GDP. That's the cost of our Brexit at the moment, to us to be reconsidered. But I make it very clear, this is a very sensitive issue for the Conservative Party.
Because the Conservative Party don't want to relitigate Brexit in the sense of they don't want us to go back into any shape of the EU, really, or any part of the EU, purely because it won't allow deregulation. The more we deregulate from EU standards, the more it makes trade more difficult, which is it feels like that's what they want. Also, the fact that we're not on the best standing with a lot of EU members. I mean, the pollution in the UK is so bad. We're polluting things like French waterways. It's honestly bizarre and just sad, but I use that word way too often, sad. But, credit to Tobias Ellwood. I don't give a lot of Tory MPs credit because most of them don't deserve it, I'll be honest. But Tobias Ellwood, despite the fact that he has kind of put himself in the firing line of many Tory MPs, has said it again that the UK should rejoin the single market. And here he is again saying it. He was in trouble during the summer. I remember covering the article and the criticism I think that he got because of it. But he's mentioned the 4% GDP figure, which we could sure use that 4% GDP now, given how much the economy is struggling and the fact that the UK is struggling with imports and exports, but the cost of our exports has gone up dramatically, regardless of how much the pound falls. It's very difficult for the UK to really function here. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.